normal day at the homestead. Stop and look at the blueberries, cherries on the porch, and figs. Make sure there's no fruits. And over here we've got dragon fruit, apple, cactus, different types of apotina, agave, avocado, more avocado. He's a little wind-beat. More blueberry. Nobody's ready today though. This one doesn't make anything edible, but we are going to make perfume from the flowers. Come this way, we're going to check bananas. So all of the bananas are over here. This hill has the best water drainage. So the water drains off more like the environment that cactus would need. And it's very rocky soil. So as long as when we add in the bananas, we add in sphagnum moss to counter and give them the water that they need, the banana section does really great. And we have this big, huge tree here. So sometimes in the evenings, this tree, the shade, covers most of the banana patch in the evening when the heat is at its highest. Come around the house into the walking path. So when you rent a homestead or you buy land and start a homestead, super important that you pay attention to the ways you're going to walk your land and set it up like you're making a walking path for other people. We're going to come over here and check some of our other herbs. It looks like the witch hazel has dried mostly up because the nights are really cold. So we'll come out here with a shovel, dig him up, put him in a pot, and pop him in the greenhouse inside the house. But you got to do this. You got to come through and check when the nights are cold and make sure that the plants are still green. They should look like this and not withering. If they're withering, it means that the nights are too cold and it's time to bring them in. Now the grapes are mostly done for the season. They just look like sticks. So what we'll do is we'll give them some shade support and start giving them lots and lots of water to promote happy growth and get the green leaves back. So in every one of these little bins that I'm walking past that's in front of the grapes, we have onions, garlic, artichokes, Jerusalem artichokes, that kind of thing. On this outer edge, as we're going down, we've got lilac, pomegranate, a bird of paradise behind me, some beautiful flowers. These are my white hibiscus. These are the babies I moved this year. Coming down further, coming into the vining plants. I suggest these fans for vining plants. You can braid the plant and it keeps them protected from most of the weather. And then of course, the new addition this year, we've got the olives. More cherries. We've spread our white cherries over here that we make our pectin from. Cherry skins and apple skins are really high in pectin. So all you have to do is use a juicer to get all the juice out. And then the skin pulp mixture that's left that you would usually discard, boil it with some water until it gets foamy. Foamy usually shows impurities. And then put it in a dehydrator at 110 degrees, typically for 6 hours. But sometimes it can take 8 to 10. It honestly just depends. Once the liquid has completely dried out, it'll be more like a cracker and it'll just crack in half. And that's the right texture for you to be able to dry it, or finish the product. And so you're going to stick it in a coffee grinder or like a Ninja and blend it, and that's what makes it a powder that you can then put in glass jars and store for long periods of time. Gotta check on the baby chickens. Just let the big chickens out. We no longer have house chickens. They are out here with the other chickens. All right. How are my babies? Hi, little bird. Hi, little bird. Come here. Hi, little bird. Thank you. Hey, little bird. don't see any peck marks. You look good. Hi, good bird. How are you? All right, I'm gonna go get the bad chickens. So when you introduce new chickens to your coop, it throws off the pecking order, and typically they'll gang up on your new chickens. You can avoid this by paying attention. If you see a specific 1 or 2 chickens that are typically picking on the new babies, move them. You can use a dog crate, although you got to be careful with raccoons because, you know, they're smart creatures and they can reach through the dog crate and pull feathers. And they only have to get a hold of the chicken's head to kill it. Hi guys, let's move you home. So if you have a couple troublemakers who seem to be rude to your new chickens, you just put them in either a dog crate or a separate coop for the night. In the morning, you reintroduce them back to the other chickens by putting them directly outside. See, right through the door. So what this does is it causes, you already reset the pecking order when you added new chickens, but it causes these chickens to be further down the pecking order. So they're no longer big boss chickens, they're now at the bottom of the pecking order. Okay. So last night there were 2 bad chickens misbehaving. The rooster doesn't like that sound of me messing with his hens. Okay, so now we got our 2 babies doing great in here. I'm all dirty. We'll come back later and harvest those eggs. Chickens are let out. Babies are checked on. Time to go harvest fruits. Woo! Back to the sunlight. Ow. Alright, so down here next to the chicken coop we got apples. It's actually kind of out of season for apples. We picked most of them and froze them. But we're going to go ahead and walk the line anyways. This is our tree line of apples and plums. So every day, whoever lets the chickens out, they just kind of take this general walk through the yard to make sure there are no like ready fruits on any of these trees. Also, we're looking at the leaves for spotting, because when this happens, it means that the tree needs a spray. So we only use organic sprays here. So typically, we only use the one breed, which I will comment if you guys need to know what it is we use. So we're going to cross the field over here, and this is where we have our chestnuts and hazelnuts and lots of tomatoes. So we grow our tomatoes on a cattle panel because it can really hold the weight, and we trim our tomatoes pretty heavily so the plant can focus on the fruits since they've already made it to the top of this cattle panel. It is important that you knock off any bad fruits. We actually just let them fall because they're going to put nutrients in the ground for the next year. So although letting them fall can sometimes attract unwanted friends like the raccoons, what we find is that they don't typically bother the fruits that are on the tree because there are plenty of options on the ground that are already smelly for them. Just gonna pick some of these. If you leave bad fruits on your plants, especially tomatoes, it will cause the other fruits within the general area to also go bad. They do affect each other. It also will cause more bugs. So you'll get more stink bugs and that kind of stuff because of the bad fruits being above the grass level. So removing bad fruits is actually really, really good for your tomato patch. And putting the bad fruits at the base will turn them into nutrients. So give it a try. New methods are kind of hard to learn. Ah! There's a big ass spider there. Oh my goodness. Let me turn you around. I almost walked right into that. Not going over there. Don't want to piss that off. I think it's just one of those weavers. But I don't want to deal with it. So we're going to stay away from it. My heart's beating so hard now. Get off, bug. Sorry, I like full screamed. You guys got that? And which means I'm posting it. I wonder if I can like edit it to give you guys a warning before I scream, so in case you have your volume up high. Probably not. I'm not very tech savvy. Oh, more tomatoes. Look at all these tomatoes gone wild. Just growing everywhere. And then after this, we're going to walk up to the figs and harvest some figs. So I get the last of my tomatoes, and we'll grab some sage and seasonings. Now, as you notice, we're going to skip walking through the pawpaw grove. We're going to skip walking through the peaches and stuff like that. Here's the sage. This is something invasive. Pull that. Just for the sake of the length of the video, I'm going to skip those areas. This giant beauty here is actually kale, so I'll cut it back in a few more weeks. But that's actually kale. Strawberries are looking real good. Let's see if there's any onions over here. That's a pretty big guy. Nope. No onions ready, and we don't need chives today. These are potatoes and sweet potatoes. It looks like they finally died back, so we can dig those up. Make our way up here to the kiwi, the lemon, and the figs. This is my beautiful sand cherry tree. We actually bred 2 different kinds of cherry and plum trees that were both labeled sand cherry, even though they were 2 different breeds. And that's how we created this specific breed that we now make lots of babies of. So this is our Geneva kiwi, which is a hairless kiwi berry that can grow in cold weather. And then over here we have our prolific kiwi, which is our male. And then over here we have our citrus bushes. Typically we plant these for 6 months and then we dig them up and bring them inside. Right now they're covered in fruits, so we're just waiting for the fruits to change color so we can harvest them. Hopefully we'll get a harvest of fruits off of them before we have to dig them up. Sometimes digging them up can really hurt them. And now we've made it over to the figs. So look at this beauty. Someone once told me that in Kansas, the only figs we could grow that would survive our winters are Chicago hardy figs. Which, as far as figs are concerned, it's not a bad fig. It's really small. It's soft, but it only lasts like 24 hours. So once they're ripe, you have to pick them and use them immediately, or you'll lose your chance. And that's kind of sad. So what I wanted were bigger figs with a better flavor, with maybe a longer shelf life of like 3 days. I'm not asking for the moon, but when it comes to fruit, shelf life is asking for the moon. Typically requires some form of breeding or crossing of plants to achieve, like grafting, you know? So instead of putting all that effort into grafting them, what I did is I selected maybe 3 to 4 of a species that I got at different places, so that I knew the genetic material would be different. And then we planted them. And we put this straw, that's what you see on the ground, all around them and really deep, like a whole bale high. And they survived the winter. So every year they pretty much grow back from the ground, but they do get to this point where they're making figs. So guess what we did? A whole new field. Anytime we have success, we go ahead and spread it. Super important that you're always adding in every year new species to your homestead. Don't do it all at once. Guys, it takes time. We've been here over 5 years, so it takes time to get this to this point. Added in goji berry. This is our oldest asparagus patch, which we actually get full-sized asparagus from now. But our main goal with this patch actually is to produce these pods, these balls. And when they change color to red, we pick them because inside every pod is 3 to 5 seeds. And then we come up here after we've harvested our figs and check our blackberries and our loganberries. Just make sure everybody's tucked in and nobody's doing this. So you don't want them to continue to grow into the sky because the stems they create will be really weak. What you want to do is you want to tuck it down into the cattle panel so that it kind of grows. Once it's taller than the cattle panel, it kind of just keeps growing across the top. So you can get it all the way to the end of the cattle panel before the winter. Now these pieces that get long like this, you can either leave them, that's what we do, and allow them to grow branches the next year and produce fruit, because these first year canes on the second year, when they wake up, they will produce fruiting limbs. So you can either leave them and get more fruiting limbs, or you can use these extra length to create more babies. Typically we leave them to get more fruiting limbs, but this year I'm gonna make a bunch of propagations for you guys because you've been asking for them. So I will be cutting them. Now when I cut them, I'm gonna cut them right at the top of the cattle panel, which is 3 feet tall. Come over here. The blueberries look really sad this time of year because they've already done their job. You can barely even see them on the camera. They've already done their job and now they're going dormant because the nights are so cold. The last stop is to check Bertha, the peach tree. This is the first tree we put into our land. We planted this one just after our star was born. So it is just as old as she is. And absolutely huge. She's finally barked over, and I'm so excited for next year because we're gonna fertilize her next year and hopefully we will get peaches. I've got some smaller peach trees that are Georgia Bellas and they already make peaches. Doesn't look like there's any pears on the pear tree to grab. Come over here, check coffee, persimmon, and raspberry. Like I said, I've got this walk. I just do the same walk every time. Looks like our baby Pakistani mulberries look great. They're doing good. Hopefully they'll survive the winter this year. Our coffees are back here doing great. We've got shampoo ginger. It's going to flower inside this year, it looks like. It got real hot this year, so it didn't flower out here. Bought a new raspberry did not get it in the ground, but we'll bury it just in case. So sometimes the dead bodies will actually grow back with new sprouts. Our persimmon on the hill there is doing good. That was actually given to us by one of our followers. And the rest of our raspberries are dormant over here. They've gone ahead and gone to sleep because it's too cold for that breed. All right, made it back to the front of the house. Hopefully it was a great walk for you guys and you learned something new, or not. But hopefully you guys have a great day. Back to this beautiful tree that comes inside. And this is our harvest for today. Not as much as it typically is, but it's been kind of a strange week for weather. It's been real hot days and real cold nights. Bye. Make sure you hit that follow and subscribe, please.